NFL Week 6 begins with the Rams and Raiders, and Robert Woods here is going to make a spectacular one-handed catch in the back of the end zone on a throw from Jared Goff to even the score. A huge play right there for Woods. Surprisingly low-scoring affair here, but the Rams end up prevailing in Vegas 14-7 to improve to 4-2 on the season.
Jared Goff with a nice game, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Josh Jacobs, potential Pro Bowler, having a great year on the ground with 111 yards. But how about Cam Akers, a rookie for the Rams, with 91 yards leading the way for LA? And receiving-wise, Robert Woods with 2 touchdowns, including that impressive catch we just showed you. So that was the Thursday night game. Let's move to the Saturday night game between Pittsburgh and Minnesota. Here in the first quarter, an interception. Ben Roethlisberger looking for an open man, but the throw is a disaster right here, looking for the back of the end zone, hoping to find Washington, but it's picked off. Pittsburgh, though, would respond. Here's Trey Edmonds, their talented tight end. Vance McDonald was out. Edmonds has been having a breakout season, and he catches that pass from Big Ben. Pittsburgh goes on to win 33-10 to keep their perfect season alive, while Minnesota drops another one to end up at 3-3. 291 passing yards for Ben Roethlisberger, while Kirk Cousins was held at 220. James Conner with a nice game, nearly 100 yards, finishing with 98. And receiving-wise, another big game for third-year man out of Maryland, Trey Edmonds, 8 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Pittsburgh is the lone unbeaten team now in the AFC. Also a shout-out to kicker Chris Boswell, who went 6 for 6 in the day with a long of 48 yards. Starting off the Sunday slate, a mess of a game for the Washington offense as the Giants finish off the season sweep of the Washington football team, winning it 27-6. Alex Smith was ruled out with a calf injury, and Haskins got hurt in the third quarter, so they had to turn to Josh Allen, who actually had a pretty solid entrance into the game, throwing for 96 yards. Unsure who's even going to be available for them. It might have to be Kyle Allen next week, but Daniel Jones, 238 yards and 2 touchdowns. Big game for Saquon Barkley, 24 carries, 99 yards and a score. And receiving-wise, no real numbers jump out. You see Thaddeus Mawson, the rookie, the son of Randy Moss, another solid game. Golden Tate, 6 catches, 69 yards, and Sterling Shepard caught a touchdown. Bad situation in New England. Julian Edelman fractured his wrist trying to make a catch. Got tangled up and ended up being knocked out of this game and may miss the remainder of the season. Here, fourth quarter, Cam Newton trying to find Jacoby Myers. He gets picked off by Frazier, and Miami finishes off the season sweep of the Patriots, something they never did in the Tom Brady era. Just like when these teams met in Week 1, Newton very inaccurate, 230 yards and 3 picks. Tua with a solid game for Miami. Jordan Howard with 18 carries and 79 yards and a touchdown led the way rushing-wise. And Julian Edelman, 7 catches, 90 yards, but he will miss the remainder of the season with a fractured wrist. They also lost linebacker Cody Uche to a torn Achilles in this game, so a couple of tough breaks for New England, as the Dolphins have not won any other game other than their 2 matchups with New England to get to 2-4. The Patriots also sit at 2-4 on the season now. A showdown in the AFC East. The Bills get revenge on the Jets to improve to 5-1, 5 consecutive wins for Buffalo, while the Jets fall to 4-2 in a 20-17 defeat. Neither quarterback was particularly accurate. Josh Allen actually threw 4 picks, but got the job done. Rushing-wise, the Jets were without Le'Veon Bell for this game, who got hurt last week. Frank Gore, 17 carries, 62 yards. Singletary, Allen, and Moss getting the job done on the ground for Buffalo. And receiving-wise, Jamison Crowder had 7 catches for 97 yards. Stephon Diggs with a characteristically quiet day for the Bills. Houston again had a fourth quarter lead, and then Tennessee runs this weird offensive setup, and nobody is there to stop Darrington Evans as he runs it into the end zone for a touchdown. And the Texans, who are up 14-3, give up the lead. 28 seconds left in overtime in the fourth quarter. Evans breaks a tackle, gets into the end zone for the touchdown, and the Titans go up by 6. Evans back from injury with 2 key touchdowns, and the Texans blow another double-digit lead. Houston falls to 2-4, while the Titans improve to 5-1. 278 yards for Tannehill. Watson with 263, a touchdown and 2 picks. But the story of this game was really the rushing attack for Tennessee. Yeah, it was only 23 carries for 85 yards, but 3 total touchdowns between Henry and Evans. So receivers showed out in this one, including veteran Randall Cobb and Adam Humphries for the Titans. Chiefs and 49ers. Kansas City was all over this 4-1 San Francisco team early in this game. Chiefs led by 6-17 in the first quarter and went on to win this one 34-24 in Patrick Mahomes' best game of the season. Chiefs improved to 4-2 while the Niners dropped to 4-2. 26 for 36, 336 yards and 3 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes. Rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire led the way on the ground with 74 yards for the Chiefs. And the all-pro tight ends Kelsey and Kittle both showed out. Kelsey with 124 yards, Kittle with 9 catches for 72. Crazy catch here from Tyler Eifert, and when you see the replay, you will be amazed as Dan Jeffries completed this one on the second offensive play of the game. Completely blind to the ball, hands in his face, Eifert just reaches out with one hand and makes an incredible catch. Overtime here, tied at 26. A game-winning field goal for Rodrigo Blankenship. The Colts survive another scare from the Jaguars as Jacksonville remains the NFL's only winless team. Colts regain some traction in the playoff race after an ugly loss to New Orleans on Sunday Night Football last week as Phillip Rivers throws for 339 yards. Not too shabby for Dan Jeffries either, who threw for 321 and a touchdown. Nice game for Jonathan Taylor, 18 carries, 67 yards for Indianapolis. Paris Campbell made his return after a 3-game absence and got 6 catches for 69 yards for Indianapolis. Falcons-Panthers, Matt Ryan got hurt in this game, as here, Kurt Bankert finds Julio Jones for a touchdown, but the story of this game was Matt Ryan's got rolled over on his knee, and they're saying a fractured kneecap, which, if that's what it is, could be the end of his season. Panthers also suffered a pretty significant injury as Christian McCaffrey broke his collarbone. He's already missed a game this season and now has re-aggravated a shoulder injury to now make it a broken collarbone, and he'll likely miss the remainder of this season as well. Their last chance for the Panthers, and they get it. A completion for a touchdown to Samuel. Curtis Samuel ties the game up with just 20 seconds. Overtime affair this means, and Kurt Bankert here is going to find Russell Gage for the game-winning touchdown, and the Falcons cap it off and win it 37-31 in overtime. So the Falcons put it into a 4-game skid despite potentially losing Matt Ryan here for the remainder of the season. Kurt Bankert, look at the performance, 20 for 25, 272 yards and 3 touchdowns. Teddy Bridgewater with a good game too, but the Panthers, coming off of the heroics last week against Houston, fall back to 2-4. Best rushing performance of the week belongs to Todd Gurley, who really picked up the slack when Matt Ryan was out, 170 yards and a touchdown, while McCaffrey had 105 before his injury. Russell Gage had a good game, but how about Julio Jones? He caught 3 touchdowns on 6 catches for 85 yards. The Lions are officially in a tailspin as they drop their 3rd consecutive game after starting 2-1 on the season, while the Browns pick up a nice victory to get back to the 500 mark. Cleveland takes this one 29-10. Browns are 0-3 in divisional play, but 3-0 here in out-of-conference play against a tough NFC North, and they have the easiest team, the Chicago Bears, still to play. Baker with a good game, 28 for 37, 280 yards and a touchdown. Nick Chubb ran for 80 yards, while Kareem Hunt scored 2 touchdowns on the ground for Cleveland. And Austin Hooper led the way with 9 catches for 91 yards. Overtime chaos, just watch.
chaos as Sam Hubbard, subbing for Cedric Lawson, who was out for the Bengals, recovers the fumble on the opening kickoff of overtime to hand the Bears a heartbreaking loss. Neither Burrow nor Trubisky was that solid, but the Bengals' defense enough to get them to 2-4. Joe Mixon had 21 carries for 93 yards. He was the leading rusher in this one. A.J. Green back from a one-game absence, 7 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. T. Higgins also had 7 receptions, as did Tyler Boyd. Shifting to the late-game slate, we had a quarterback duel in L.A. as the Seahawks and Chargers matched up. Solid games for both Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert, but Seattle prevailed to remain at undefeated and get their 6-0 record going. Chargers remain arguably the most talented 2-4 team right now. They have had a brutally tough schedule to start the season, having to play San Francisco, Seattle, and 2 against the Chiefs, but the remainder of their schedule involves matchups with the Raiders, Denver, and Arizona. They certainly, actually against the Rams, so they have some easier games that they could play. Justin Herbert incredibly accurate in this one, 32 for 36, 335 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Russell Wilson threw for 262 yards and 3 scores. Nice game for Chris Carson, 119 yards for him. Of course, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both solid. Mike Williams with his second consecutive 3-touchdown game, 94 yards for him, while Keenan Allen had 10 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown for the Chargers. Scary moment here. Kyler Murray gets absolutely drilled by the Denver defense and would leave the game with a concussion. Watch the run and a brutal hit that Kyler Murray just underwent right there. I'll see it. Just a dirty play, no personal foul called, and Murray got the worst of it. That meant Brent Hundley had to come in, and Arizona got trounced by the Broncos 30-8 in this rough season for the Cardinals. Despite all the talent on their roster, they're just 1-5, while Denver picks up their second win of the season. Drew Lock, who missed the first couple of weeks, playing well now, 288 yards and 3 touchdowns, and as you see, Hundley wasn't terrible, but it was not enough. Real difference in this game came on the ground. Melvin Gordon with 105 yards. The leading rusher for Arizona was actually Kyler Murray with 35. I'm looking at the receiving, only 4 catches for DeAndre Hopkins. He did get up to 88 yards, but the Arizona Cardinals have picked up quarterback Taylor Heineke to see potentially he might start over Hundley if Murray is not out of concussion protocol for their Week 7 game. In addition to the Heineke signing, the Cardinals also made a trade to try to fill up some gaps. They have some injuries on their defensive line, as the Cardinals will be acquiring Sheldon Day from the Colts in exchange for linebacker Devondre Campbell. And now the big 3 games. We start here with a rematch between the Bucs and the Saints. Week 1, the Saints got out to a big lead and held on to win it 24-21 behind 7 sacks from Cameron Jordan. But now Tampa at home looking to extend their winning streak. Week 1 started early with Drew Brees finding Traquan Smith for a deep touchdown. Similar play, exact same play call this time, and Antoine Winfield Jr. gets tripped up. Michael Thomas goes 74 yards to the house to give New Orleans a very early 7-0 lead. Another touchdown here. This time it is Traquan Smith off from Drew Brees to make it 13-0 just less than 10 minutes in. The Saints have been blowing away their opponents in prime time the last 2 weeks, handily beating both the Falcons and the Colts, and here jumping out early against Tampa once again. Saints here have a chance, and it's picked off by Dean. A big play for Tampa to get an interception and try to get some momentum going. And here Brady finds Rob Gronkowski for the touchdown. First play of the second quarter to get Tampa back within a score. And Brady here threads the needle and finds Gronk over the middle. Then here Drew Brees, another touchdown pass. It's Michael Thomas. The Saints had 24 points with still 6 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Tampa trying to mount a comeback, but Tom Brady gets stripped, loses the ball, and guess who? Cameron Jordan comes up with it. The Saints defense was strong. They also had John McKinley playing, who had missed the first 5 games of the season, and they got all over Brady here. So the Saints complete the season sweep of the Buccaneers. Brees beats Brady twice, this time 36-20, as the Saints remained a perfect 6-0, while the Bucs' 3-game winning streak comes to an end. They now sit at
3-3 with a couple of tough tests remaining. Their remaining schedule, they take on the Texans, the Falcons, the Colts, and then finish it off with the Panthers, while the Saints next play the Jacksonville Jaguars, which should be an easy game. Then they play Carolina, and then their big meetup with Tennessee in Week 9 before wrapping things up against the Falcons. Both quarterbacks pretty solid. Brady had a couple of turnovers, but did throw for 338 yards, while Brees threw for 366. Alvin Kamara struggled again and dealt with injuries. He's been really banged up throughout the season, but it clearly has not hurt this Saints team. And Michael Thomas, have yourself a day. Leading receiver in the NFL this week, 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sunday Night Football, Cowboys, Eagles. These teams met in Jerry World on Thanksgiving. Dallas escaped on a late Eagles turnover. Here Dak Prescott breaks through an attempted sack, gets around Brandon Gary, and gets all the way down in the slide to the 16-yard line. Evasion there on a 24-yard run on a play that was completely destroyed, and Dallas made something out of nothing on many occasions in this game, and were able to play games with the Eagles' defense in the rain and under the lights. Dallas would pull away in the second half and take the win 34-13, dropping the Eagles to 3-3, while Dallas, after a bit of a slow start, a couple of tough losses early on in the season, are now 4-2. Good win there for Dallas. Dak Prescott led the defending NFC champs with 315 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott with his third 100-yard rushing game of the season, 116 and a touchdown. While Boston Scott was the leading rusher for the Eagles, they've been without Miles Sanders now for the last 3 games after he got hurt in Week 3, but he is expected to return for their Week 7 contest. CeeDee Lamb, the rookie, 103 yards, while Amari Cooper had 8 catches, 79 yards and a touchdown. Crazy game on Monday Night Football to wrap up Week 6. Ravens-Packers. Lamar Jackson did not have a single pass completion until the 4th quarter. Here he gets into the end zone. The Packers were up 20-3 in this game, and 20-0 rather, and Baltimore coming back to make it 20-8. However, multiple Ravens losses have come because of late fumbles by Lamar Jackson. Happened against Pittsburgh, happened against Minnesota, and happens again here on the 2-point conversion. Lamar Jackson turns over the ball with a chance to tie the game. He would have scored and just lost security of it as he dove into the end zone. A tough break here for Baltimore. So the Packers survive a huge second half comeback from the Ravens to win it 20-18 and improve to 4-2 on the season. Aaron Rodgers with one of his best games of the season, 266 yards. And Lamar Jackson, despite not completing a pass until the 4th quarter, still got 114 yards through the air. 100-yard rushers on both sides. For the Packers, it was a running back, Aaron Jones. And the other side, Lamar Jackson, 14 carries, 120 yards, a touchdown, but those 2 fumbles, including that key one we just saw. Lastly, a big night for Davante Adams, 12 catches, 130 yards. So that's going to wrap up our coverage of week number 6. Week 7 should be interesting. A lot of key injuries we saw, including Julian Edelman, Matt Ryan, Christian McCaffrey, and Kyler Murray. Leading the way Week 7, a Thursday night contest between the Cowboys and the Jets. Saturday game between the Bengals and the Browns. Detroit and Green Bay have a rematch. The Eagles go to Buffalo. Bears and Minnesota have a rematch. Kansas City, their first sighting of Las Vegas this season. Pittsburgh plays Baltimore, Seattle, and San Francisco, and the Texans go to face off with Tom Brady. So you can check out our playoff picture in the comments below, and we hope you enjoyed our highlights of week number 6.